Twisted People. It's your girl here, Chauncey K. Robinson, aka Twisted Woman CKR, and I am joined here by my brother from the same mother, Damon Robinson, Damon D. Rock Robinson of the Fried Disciples. A very fun YouTube channel that he has with my other half, Michael Damien. Damien and Damon are doing Fried Disciples. I'm sure once they have enough weed, they start confusing each other. So who knows? So yeah, today, thank you all who are joining us in the replay and those of you who are joining us in the live chat. It's always great talking stories with you. And the story that we are talking about today is Loki, episode 5, the pre-season finale episode here. So we have episode 5. Things have gone up. The stakes are up. Alliances have been made. Lines have been drawn in the sand. It was about a 40-minute episode or so, I think. About
50, about 50.
It was about 50 minutes.
Yeah.
Like about 50-minute episode. And so we found out some cool things. We had some action. We met some mini Lokis when it came to things. So a very fun dynamic with the Lokis, and we're going to talk all about it. But before we get into that, I just want to let you all know, if you haven't already, please do give this video a like and feed the algorithm monster, which is always great. He's not like the monster that we saw in Loki today, Alioth, but it still eats energy here and takes your energy to like this video. So that's always appreciated, y'all. And so we want to get into it. And the first and foremost, we want to talk about our overall thoughts of the episode. Quick overall thoughts and the grade that we would give this episode. And I'm going to start with you, David. Let us know in the chat, the live chat, and also in the replay, what grade you would give this episode of episode 5 and your overall thoughts. So, Damon, let's start with you. What grade would you give Loki episode 5? And what were your quick thoughts overall about it?
Overall, it was all right. I liked it. I enjoyed this episode. I ain't really had to. I mean, I could have nitpicked and found something bad, but I didn't. It was all right. It was good. I give it an A, maybe an A+.
A+. Wow, is that the highest grade you've given it this season?
I gave the first. I believe I gave the first one an A++ or A+.
Okay. For me, I feel like with this episode, I definitely enjoyed it. I enjoyed it a lot more than the previous episode. I thought the previous episode was probably like my least liked one in the whole show thus far. And so I did like it. I like the dynamic. I think this show is really great. And I saw someone else say this. I think this show is really great when it embraces its weirdness. When it doesn't try to go the conventional route and it just kind of embraces its weirdness, I think that's when it does its best. And I think in those moments that were super weird,
going on, Shamar.
I think those did really well. So I'm going to give this episode an A as well. And hey, Shamar, thanks so much for joining us in the live chat. It's always appreciated. Michael Damien, the other half of Fried Disciples, and my other half. Damon and Chauncey, the sober Fried Disciple. I'm the sober Fried Disciple, y'all. I give this one an A+. And Mercenary X84, thanks for joining us in the live chat. It's always a pleasure. And right now, y'all, for those of you who are just joining us and whatnot, we're talking about our grade that we would give this episode of Loki. I think Damon and I seem to be in an agreement that we would both give this episode an A. Mercenary X84 is saying they would give this a 9.5 over 10. Shamar is saying definitely give it an A+ too. Yeah, I think this episode definitely had some great highlights. I think this episode, like episode 1, because it embraced its weirdness, because it did get kind of like, what is going on, the zaniness of it, that is what I think we all enjoyed from the first episode. And so to see that kind of a return to that a little bit more in this episode was really just a breath of fresh air, because I'll let you know, I was starting to kind of side-eye this season. I was kind of starting to side-eye this whole show, where I was just like, I don't know. You know what I mean? I don't know where this is going, but it started off strong. But
I think this show is going to have is a big piece of the MC. It's going to turn out to be a big piece of the MCU.
yeah. And hey, the Poltergeist, thanks for joining us as well. For those of you who don't know, I did a guest in on the Poltergeist recent episode where we deep dived into In the Mouth of Madness, John Carpenter film. And for those of you who haven't watched the In the Mouth of Madness or just curious about it, definitely go check out the Poltergeist. I really enjoyed being on their show. A bunch of fun guys, really good time. So check that out if you haven't already. And let me know what you think of In the Mouth of Madness. Comment on their video, and I'll be checking their comment section as well to see if y'all have any thoughts about that movie, that horror film. All right, so let's get into what actually happened this episode, because we had some major things, some major comic book stuff too. And I'll let you also point out some of that stuff, Damon. To me, I also want to know in the chat, y'all, and also in the replay, who was your favorite character this episode? Because I had two characters that I thought were the stars of this episode. And I'm curious to know who y'all, especially with all those Lokis running around, I'm curious to know who y'all thought were the stars of this episode. Who were the standouts for all of you? I'm really curious. Damon, did you have a standout for this episode?
I mean, yeah, obviously, classic Loki.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's what I call him, classic Loki. Of course, he was a standout.
The show called him Classic Loki too. It was what his thing was on the subtitles.
Kid Loki, just for the fact that they like I said in the last episode, they still giving me a lot of Young Avenger vibes. A lot of them.
Yeah, I'm going to go. I feel like the chat is agreeing with me on this one, or we're aligned in this one. Mercenary X84 is saying Alligator Loki. And I just want a plushie of Alligator Loki. If they were selling plushies, I don't even buy Marvel merchandise like that. But if they had a plushie of Marvel Alligator Loki, I would buy it, because that's how much that character stole my heart this episode. I just loved how they were trying to figure out if he was even a Loki. They were like, is he a Loki? Maybe he's not really Loki. And then classic Loki is like, well, he's green, isn't he? It's just like,
he's green with the corn crown thing,
right? And I'm just like, this is adorable, and I just want more of Alligator Loki. I want the powers to be to hear this. Give us more Alligator Loki, because I thoroughly enjoyed that character. Also, Shamar, I agree with Shamar as well with classic Loki. My two faves this episode was classic Loki and Alligator Loki, for sure. Shamar says the same. Great mind, Shamar. I agree. I just thought, classic Loki just brought so much more depth, I feel. And I think the actor that plays classic Loki is kind of up there. He's kind of a big deal. And so I'm interested to see, silence your phones, people, as you're in the theater. I'm interested to see, if this is the end that we see of Loki. And let us know, do you think this is the end we will see of classic Loki? Because if anything else, that classic Loki pointed out Loki survived. And I don't feel like this is the last we've seen of him. I don't feel like you bring an actor like that to play that part for a one-off stint. I just don't think that's the case. So I'm hoping we see more of classic Loki. And it was so great to see him flex his power and to show like Lokis are really powerful when they believe that they are. He created like a whole city. I got chills watching that. I was like, whoa, that's kind of big right there, what he's doing. Michael Damian saying, as a Florida man, I have to say Alligator Loki is the standout. Yes, they love their gators in Florida. And also Michael Damian is saying the entire Loki ensemble was fantastic. Yeah, I definitely think classic Loki and Alligator Loki were the standouts for me. But let us know in the replay in the chat, who were the standouts for you all?
I like the kid Loki.
What did you like? His bravado? Did you like that somehow he was the person in charge? What did you like about Kid Loki?
He's the person in charge because he killed Thor.
Right, that did stand out to me. Then he was like, "Why are you in charge?" And he turns to our Loki and it's like, "I killed Thor," and Loki just stopped. He was like,
Yeah, I
that's
guess
a cold-blooded
I guess
one.
he was the one that put Thor. Did you see the little mini Thor in the jar when they was climbing down through the thing? Maybe he the one that put the Thor in the jar right there. But he also had the flaming sword that he gave the what's her name? Like in mythology, that's what Loki has. And in Marvel Comics, you don't really see him with that.
And that's interesting because that is part of the mythology, but you don't see that as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, they let the kid Loki kind of feed into that.
And the fact that I think they're trying to set us up for Young Avengers because they keep bringing them. We got Kate Bishop coming up. We got Miss America got a small role in the Doctor Strange movie, and you got Kid Loki, and we already seen Wiccan and Speed and the Patriot.
I will say I do like the fact that we are getting younger generation of characters, but I also wonder. I do think it might be a long game with that because I think it might take a minute before they're even able to put that whole team together.
They're showing it to us though that they're here. That they're here. As you can see, they're here. Know
New generation. Mercenary X84 saying, I like the cinematography of how they introduced the Void. This is the thing about this show thus far. The look of it, I enjoyed the first episode look of it because it did remind me, and others have said, I think Michael Damian mentioned it, like a Rick and Morty. I pointed out that it reminded me of Beetlejuice's Afterlife when they all were in if you all remember that movie where in the afterlife there's a waiting room area, and that very much is what the TVA reminded me of, kind of drab colors and things. It was interesting to see at the end of time that they also kind of kept with the drab colors. I do miss the vibrancy. I will say I do miss the vibrancy of WandaVision in a way, because there was just something about that look, that brightness of it, especially after they stopped with the black and white episodes, that I love, especially because of comic books and the colorfulness of comic books.
The 60s and 70s was kind of bright like that. That's
but even when they kept going to like the 80s and the 90s and stuff, there was still a certain vibrancy. And I just think that sometimes I feel like with comic book movies, they kind of go the opposite. They want to make everyone dress in black leotards and things like that. And the colors are just muted. So I'm not the biggest fan of the muted colors in this show at times, but I also understand it's because of where they are. I just kind of miss the vibrancy of colors that you usually get with some of these Marvel movies. But I did like it. And we're going to talk about the Void Mercenary. And we're also going to talk about, I'm going to keep messing up, Alioth. Did I say it right?
Alioth.
I don't know why I keep wanting to say Alioth. Alioth, like alive, Alioth.
Yeah,
because we got to talk about that.
That's like another ping to my thing right there.
To Kang.
Yes,
because that's also what we have to talk about, y'all. Who was Alioth being interference for? We have to figure that out. Also, we know that Ravonna is very much trying to get to whoever's running things because they also want to protect them somehow for some reason.
Ravonna also has a connection with Alioth in the comics.
Okay, we'll talk about that when we get to it as well. So let's jump into what actually happened this episode. Some of the major things. So we got the introduction of the Void. The Void being the end, sort of the end of things. So we find out that the TVA can't really destroy anything because, as they say, matter cannot be destroyed or created, correct? Which is in our real world. Einstein said that. So it's kind of, I thought it was pretty good that they kind of kept with that idea that you can't just like knock something off. You can't just completely destroy something in that sense. So you basically send it to the end of time, supposedly. So we find out that's what the Void is. And we also get introduced to Alioth, who is actually also in the comic book. So Damon, do you want to explain a little bit about who Alioth is in the comic books at all, or what you remember from the comics?
Alioth, he's the first being to ever free itself from the timeline.
Interesting.
He's actually, the way they portrayed him on here, he's way much more. He's not just like a beast that's gonna go. He you know what I mean? He's a sentient being. He thinks.
Mm-hmm. Which is why Sylvie clearly felt like she could enchant Alioth, because you have to have memories and thought and stuff for it to be enchanted, right?
But Elias, he got the connection to Kang. Elias is actually the reason why Kang, in certain timelines he wouldn't go past. Like he'd only go to I believe it was 2000 BC. 2000 BC. He wouldn't go beyond that time because Elias controls that time. He basically like a barrier, you know, and he's a very powerful being. It's just that he has no form. He's like smoke, you know, as you can see, the same way they made him right there, like purple smoke and fire and stuff like that. But they really got it good at the way they copied him from the comics.
This is for those of you who are watching. I'm showing a comic book panel of Elias, and what he looks like on there. One of the things that the words say, it is a force that has infiltrated Kang's capital city and sweeps over its skyline like a cloud of wrath. It is a force that engulfs and consumes. It is a force called Elias, the usurper.
Yeah.
So that definitely
being to free himself from the timeline.
Yeah. So that's pretty cool. You know, so clearly that kind of goes to your theory that is very much connected to Kang. So do you think Kang is that somehow Elias has aligned with Kang and is helping Kang kind of stay behind, you know?
That's what I mean. I don't really know. It all depends on how this MCU, what they do with the Elias character. You know, we already see that they kind of made him I mean, he still seemed to be as powerful as he was, but more like a brute, because he seemed not, you know, they made him more animalistic, I guess, in nature. And he's really like an enemy to Kang.
Really?
Yeah, like Kang, like I say, Kang's his time borders on Elias. Elias, like how they said in here, where time goes, he eats everything. That's what his world is like. He controls where he's at. It's like it's another time. It's like it's another group out there. You know, it's been a while since you know, but it is another group out there.
Were you surprised to see Elias? Yeah. Since you know the comments, were you surprised to see Elias? And when you saw Elias, Damon, were you like, whoa, that is definitely a connection to Kang? I am
not only
Kang, puzzle piece.
Not only Kang, I said as you see Ravonna right there, that's Ravonna. That's how that old Ravonna looked in the comics. So as you see, Ravonna is really the one who broke the barrier to Kang's world to let Elias to come in. Because she was curious. She wanted to see what was out there. So she shot through the barrier, and that got his attention.
Interesting.
That's why I said it's a connection. I'm like, they're giving us a lot of strong connections.
For Kang. So what do y'all think? You know, now that Damon, thank you for explaining that, Damon. Now that y'all have heard this, and maybe some of y'all knew that as well, what did y'all think of Elias? For those of y'all in the chat and the replay, I thought Elias was like monstrous. I thought that was such a cool thing. And like you said, I think they did a really good job of bringing Elias to life in the big screen, in the live action for sure. And I was just really digging it. And I thought it was very menacing. Hey, Tony, thanks for joining us in the live chat as well. It's always great to have you here. Shamar is saying, did enchanting it kill Elias or temporarily stopped it from some period of time? I think it stopped him because it seems like Sylvie's powers work to kind of stun a person, like when she did Hunter C20, and basically when she was enchanting Hunter C20, she basically had it so that she was just kind of sitting there, kind of stuck in her mind as she was trying to figure out. So I think it was more so a stunning of her. Hey, Ray, thanks for joining us in the chat. Ray is saying A+ for the episode and B for the season because it took too long. It took too long to get here, and it's the end, which was very Lord of the Rings and not in a good way. Ray is also saying he is here. It was proven to many of his story elements are here. The Emperor is coming. So Ray is now on the Kang ship with you, Damon. I don't know, y'all. I'm still
like
kind
I
of.
said, they might not give us him here,
Uh-huh.
but I believe it's gonna be some hint to it.
Would you be disappointed that it would that even at a season finale, which is what we're getting in episode 6, that they don't show Kang if it is Kang?
No, because we already know they picked up for a season 2. Maybe they could work it to where they could actually get the season 2 out right before Quantum Mania comes out.
Takes like a year to do that. So I don't know, because we might be like Netflix when we get next seasons of shows is usually a whole year. So I mean, I don't know for maybe people want to look it up. When is the next Ant-Man coming out?
And they only gonna show us 6.
Oh, you think so? You think they like did it advance?
I don't know, but 6 episodes and not all of them go 60 minutes. I mean, like maybe they had a little bit time extra where they could have did a couple more episodes. So, I don't know.
Michael Damian is saying the execution of the void concept in this episode was so awesome. It kind of reminded me of the scary cloud rhino and from James and the Giant Peach. Oh, definitely. I can see that.
It's actually another Marvel character named the Void. His I think his thing is called the temporal zone or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
Elias thing. I think it's called the temporal something. It wasn't called the Void because there's actually there's another character named the Void. He got something to do with the Sentry. It don't pertain to this, but I found that odd. That was odd to me.
It's interesting because I really enjoyed this episode for the characters we were introduced to, and Elias being one of them for sure. I definitely dug that whole execution, and I thought it was very cool that Sylvie and Loki had to kind of combine their powers, but they got that through looking at the power of classic Loki, and what classic Loki was able to do. And classic Loki put together a whole city. That was nuts to me. I was like, whoa.
He built Asgard up, right?
Yeah, that was Asgard, basically. Just created it out of nowhere. Okay, so we got Elias, and we have this thing where Loki ends up there, and he's, from the 4, Alligator Loki, who's questionable whether or not he's Loki, but I believe Alligator Loki is definitely a Loki.
He's a Loki.
And so, they go down to the lair, which is pretty cool. It's a pretty cute lair. And I thought that was a very cool sequence of events with, them talking, chainmail Loki kind of being like, and I had all the Infinity Stones, and then Alligator Loki in his own way is saying liar, and they start fighting, and it's a whole thing. And then when our Loki decides he wants to go, he's like, I'm not just sitting here. He's bombarded by all these other Lokis, which is one that is pretty much a doppelganger of him. Mm-hmm. And they have a whole fight.
He was running for president on wherever he came from.
Yeah, which is funny. I thought that was, to me, a very cool throw to, I think this happened in 2000. I think this was the 2016 comics where they had Loki running for president, actually. I'm going to look it up. And I thought that was a cute little Easter egg. Loki runs for president, and I thought that was a very nice Easter egg that they threw in there. What did you think of that fight scene with all the Lokis? To me, that was my favorite part of the episode, was with that and classic Loki doing what he did. But then that whole kind of thing of all of them fighting, and then classic Loki kind of creating versions of themselves who could actually fight and beat up and things like that. So he's powerful. But that whole thing was, I think, another...
what's the name, right?
Exactly. I thought that was so eerie, too, because he was like, I survived. He's like, I created a replica of myself that was so convincing that they thought, and then I basically just went on a planet. He self-reflected, and he just went on a planet to kind of live on his own. And then as soon as he was trying to leave it to go see his brother again, that's when he got caught in
the timeline. And people been dead.
Yeah. And I really enjoyed kind of getting the backstories or these different kind of paths of Loki's in a way. I thought that was very good. I like when we get a little bit more, and that was always my issue so far with the Sylvie character, because I felt like I hadn't gotten enough of her in terms of who she was and what made her tick. And I just felt like with classic Loki, we got that so quickly from him in such an efficient way. So I really just became endeared to classic Loki. Michael Damian saying, thank you very much for explaining the difference between Void and Elias. I'm excited for the finale. Yes.
No problem.
And so
explain Void too much. But yeah.
Well, you tried to explain the Void.
I mean, it's different. The Void in the comics had nothing to do with this story.
Well, you know who it's not. Well, you know who is probably definitely not now, which who we were talking about last stream, which is the Beyonder. I think we all can say it is definitely not the Beyonder for this. I am still
strong. See, this is the thing.
Yeah, go ahead.
He's a strong entity. That's the thing. I mean, I really want to see how they gonna explain whoever's controlling him. How did you get control of him? How is that possible?
Elias?
Yeah, like I want to see how they explain that.
Well, if Kang is super powerful, that would make sense.
But Kang, I mean, yeah, he would have to already have.
If it's Kang,
yeah, this is his enemy. He couldn't control him. He found the way to defeat him. Yeah, but it didn't really defeat him by killing him. He just found the way to make a boundary, the Tempest. To maybe they're getting to that too. Who knows?
Yeah. So what we also got was this fight scene with all the different Lokis, and I got a little thing here to kind of refer to what I was talking about with Loki who runs for president. There was like a mini comic book series that Marvel had ran of Loki running for president. So it was vote Loki, believe, and then in the middle, of course, highlighted is lie, which is very much the god of mischief. So I appreciated that Easter egg that they threw out. A kind of a very recent Easter egg for people who are reading like some of the comics in the last couple of years, although Elias was a big Easter egg for those who know.
He was like 93. He was like 93.
Elias, yeah. So I thought that was very cool to see that Loki. And let us know in the chat and also on the replay if you noticed other Easter eggs that you hadn't, that you kind of peeped if you know the comics, or just some other things from the MCU themselves, if you saw it there. I know some people online were saying that they saw things on the side of the buildings that might relate to Kang or something like that. I didn't get a chance to go too far into that, but they said they saw some stuff. But yeah, I thought that was really cool of the Loki that was running for president, who also gets his hand bitten off by Alligator Loki, who I love Alligator Loki. I need a plushie of Alligator Loki, y'all. Another thing that we got is that Mobius is alive. I was quite happy to see that Mobius was alive.
Yeah.
And Mobius also ended up going back to the TVA. Now he said he wants to burn it down. What do you think is going to happen when he gets there? Because let's also connect it to Ravonna, right? You know, Sylvie in the beginning was working with Ravonna, but Ravonna was kind of lying to her, stalling for time, this whole thing. And Ravonna seems to be, supposedly she too is in the dark about who is running the TVA. Although she also still seems to be about power. She seems to be about keeping her power. As she told Hunter B15, she was like, she seems to be still very much about keeping her power. And that basically she wants to find whoever is behind the TVA, as she told Miss Minutes, and basically protect them because they're in danger from Sylvie. So Ravonna seems still to be about the dogma. She seems to still be about the lie of the TVA. Do you believe her? And let us know in the chat and the replay, Damon. Do you believe her that she really doesn't know who is running the TVA?
Sometimes, she seems to be believable, but it's a lot of things that don't add up to me. Like if you already felt that you wanted to find out who this person was, what was going on, you wouldn't have pruned Mobius. You know, because if you felt, you basically saying you feel the same way he felt. You want to know who behind all this, what's going on.
But I feel like, I think one of the things with her was that she wanted to know what was going on because she wanted to know who her boss really was, not because she was more so like questioning the world of the TVA, but more like, you know, kind of just like, I want to know who is my real commander here. I feel like Mobius was more like, this has all been a lie. Why am I even doing this? While I think Ravonna is like, it's not all been a lie. It's just been a different person running things.
But that's the type of that's the type of word she used. Remember, she said, "I want to know who's doing this to us."
Yeah.
She actually said that phrase.
But do you think she meant that to Sylvie, or she was just saying that?
No, I think she just was saying that. Now I know she just was saying that. I think this is how they gonna connect it. This is just my little thought about it. She somehow that little castle thing off to the side, it looks like one of Kang's little castle thing, like from the picture you just showed. You know, it looks like something like that. So maybe Kang's in there. Maybe he's in that little slumber he was in when Ravonna takes over or took over.
Wait a minute. No. What do you mean? Are you saying Kang is in play now, or he's about to become in play?
Yeah, that way.
He's about to become in play. So you're saying that he wasn't running everything before?
I'm thinking this is how they might connect it. She might be the bad for this, just how they did in all the other ones. But Kang is the guy that's probably in the castle, up there in the and whoever's in that little thing right there. And I think she don't want nobody to find that person or know that it's something behind it.
Okay. Well, I kind of have a little bit of a different theory. I think she actually doesn't know who it is. I think she might have had an idea that the that the timekeepers weren't real. But I do think because if that was the case, my question would be, why would she be sending Miss Minutes over? And when I think it's Hunter B15, was talking to her, she looked at her and she was like, you want to know who's doing it too. Like, she peeped her. She basically understood, you want to know who it is too, because you don't know either. Even though you still believe in all this, you don't know either, but you want to know. And so she said to Ravonna, you know, the difference between you and Sylvie is that Sylvie needs to know. You just want to know. So it seems like to me, Ravonna still basically wants to run the timekeepers and the things like that, but she just basically wants to know who's this all-powerful being, perhaps maybe because she wants to align with them. Hence, that is what begins her alliance with Kang. Because once she finds out who it is, she doesn't deflect. She doesn't say, okay, this is too much, I'm leaving. It's like, okay, thank you, my great leader. I will now serve under you. That may be where we're going.
That could be. That could definitely be. That sounds like a good way they would try to work this.
I mean, I don't like the fact that it takes away the idea that she was a princess, but maybe that's why maybe she's a variant of Ravonna. Maybe she is actually a variant. Do you think she's still a variant, Damon? Do you think Ravonna too is a variant?
Probably so. But this is what I'm thinking. I don't know if they were like they did something wrong in a timeline for the TVA to just take them. We don't know that. You know what I mean?
So are you saying that maybe the TVA was just taking Loki's just to take them?
Not Loki's. I'm talking about the people that work at the TVA.
Oh, just taking them.
Yeah. So we don't know. I'm not. It ain't explained to us that these people were just like Loki, and that's why they took them. And then
or if they were just taking them and they disappeared from their timeline.
I mean, however, I think they had abducted them.
Yeah. Shamara is saying, I feel like she's just as out of the loop as everyone else. Yeah.
I just don't understand if this guy's he your friend, y'all got some a nice rapport going. He realizes that all this is fake. It's something behind the scenes. Instead of saying, all right, lock him up, instead of trying to get him on your side to help find out, you just prune him right from the rip. Mm-hmm. I don't understand that. You prune him, but I understand why she locked what's her name up, because she knew Sylvie been in her head. She wanted to figure that out.
Yeah.
But I don't know that part don't her not knowing and wanting to find out and pruning him instead of getting an ally to help you find out. And
then playing him along, I want to find out too. Please tell me no.
You was playing him along this long.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I don't know.
I think, okay,
I think
so
she knew
what
a
we,
little more than she's letting on.
I do. I agree with that because she did know that when people get pruned, they don't die. She knew
Exactly.
that. She did
Exactly.
say that. She was like, he's not dead. He got pruned. Now, everyone else thought that people died. She
Mm-hmm.
was the one that knew
That
they
knew what you
didn't die,
did.
that
Yeah.
they go to the end
Exactly.
of time. Now, she claimed when she was talking to Sylvie, she was like, well, the dogma says that this is the end of time and that the timekeepers are actually fixing the end of time to make it peaceful and a utopia. Now, whether or not she knows that there's some monster that eats people called Eliath, or a beast that eats people called Eliath there, I don't know. But she definitely did know that people don't die, they just get sent to the end of time. So she knew that much. So it's like, who
No,
told her that?
she knew that thing was right there. Remember she showed her on the thing? I guess
Yeah.
that cloud that was blocking, I guess that was Elias, right?
Was it Eliath? I guess, yeah.
Remember she like, we got to break through that to get to the other side. That's what Sylvie's plan was.
Mm-hmm.
So she knew it was something there. I believe she just ain't say it was Elias.
Okay.
I believe that's what I mean. I think she knows more than what she's letting on to.
Okay. I just wonder, like, if she did know it was Kang or whoever it is, or maybe it's he who remains. I'm still kind of holding on to he who remains.
Or it could be the real timekeepers.
Yeah, I still think it's he who remains, perhaps. I know there's stuff with Kang, but I also just feel like Disney likes to really throw us off. So yeah. I'm just like, it could be he who is named, he who is left.
I'm thinking they could. I'm like, I'm when they showed Elias, I'm like, they giving me but kind of in the back here, I'm like, no, they just playing with me.
They just playing. Because could it be that obvious? Yeah, I mean, could it be that all of us from the very beginning who were saying maybe it's Kang, could they actually be giving us who we knew, who many of us thought was from the beginning? It just doesn't seem like that's their track record so far, to give you who you thought it was the whole entire time. Right. So I that's why I worry that it's going to be a very similar to the Mephisto disappointment, that it may be more so he who remained more than he who more than Kang. For those who are maybe missed that part where I talked about he who remains, this was the guy that was one of the last agents of the previous TVA in the comic books. And when that got messed up, he was the last one there. So he created another TVA. And so my theory is that that's who this is. Now, why they're sitting on the other side. Yeah. But my only issue with that theory that I have is, why is he sitting at the end of time like that? What's going on? Is he just in, quarantine? Is he just more so, I want solitude and I just want to run it from the back? Like, who was running the TVA? Like, who was running, and how were they communicating with the android timekeepers? Because they had to be feeding them stuff, right? They had to be telling them, decide this, do that. Like, this is the person that needs to get pruned. This is the person that needs to do that. They couldn't, these were androids. They couldn't have been doing that on their own, right?
Yeah, somebody was behind the curtain.
Yeah, someone was the Wizard of Oz here and was telling them what to tell Ravonna. Yeah. Shamar is saying, I feel like she's just just as out of the loop as everyone else. I think that I think it's a mixed plate with this one. I think she knows more than others. I think she's still very much aligned with the TVA, but I don't think she knows everything. I don't think she knows exactly who is running things. So I guess we'll see. But let us know in the chat and in the replay, y'all. Do you think Ravonna actually does know who's running the TVA, or do you think she only knows just a bit more than others? Maybe she's like a Nazi soldier, just kind of following the orders and being totally cool with everything that's negative that's happening because she believes in she wants the power of it. Who knows? Okay, so
we might see Ravonna. Maybe we'll see Ravonna change in this. Maybe she'll become Determinatrix in this.
Is that her alter ego?
That's I don't know if you call it like I guess so. I guess it's one of her alter egos. Because
the thing is, Ravonna does turn good at some point too, or she moves away from Kang at some point. So the question is, where are they going with this character? But maybe this is her origin of kind of being this way for now.
See, she's Terminatrix in the comics when Alof is first introduced. She's already become Terminatrix.
Okay.
So and Kang, like I said, Kang is like in a coma, slumber or something. So it's her. She commands everything. She took over his world. She's like in control of everything. She was curious about the barrier, shot through it, and let Alof in. That's how Alof got introduced in the comics. And she had to, they had to get the Avengers to come help them wake Kang up and get rid of him. But eventually, Kang came up with it's a guy named Tempest, who he somehow got him to get extra powerful. He went inside of Alof and expanded, and that's what made the it's a barrier that keeps Alof away from Kang's dimension now. That's in the comics. That's how Kang defeated Alof. He didn't really defeat him. He just, I guess, whatever that thing they call a void in this one, I guess that's his world. That's what he.
Okay. Well, all of this seems to be very much playing to Kang's plot line, whether or not it's actually Kang. Then again, where was he who remained kind of hanging out at?
He's like one of them, they're around, they're there looking, but they do nothing. He's like a he's like like one of the Celestials or something. He's there, but he's not there.
Okay. This is Ravonna Renslayer as Terminatrix. This is one of the things. I think Gugu, the actress who plays Ravonna, will look awesome in that. So I'm all for that. If she ends up donning that kind of look, I'd be down to see that from her. Okay, so then we basically have Sylvie and Loki enchanting Eliath.
We skipped over the little chemistry moment they had.
We're gonna talk about it.
Oh, okay.
Don't worry, I got it here. I got a note on it. So we have that, and so far it seems like they're gonna go to the void. Now we did have the romance. It definitely does seem like they're gonna be heading towards the romance. I am on it, as I said last episode. I'm still not necessarily here for it. I think if she wasn't a Loki, I might be okay with the chemistry. I don't really think it's necessary. Like, I guess my main thing for this right now, I mean, like last episode, I do still think it's narcissistic on some level. Even because it was kind of weird, because when they were doing the thing and he was like, I can't enchant. She's like, yes, you can, because we're the same. And I'm like, ugh. Like, y'all just had a moment in the blanket. Like, you're the same. So you acknowledge that you literally are the same, but okay. Cool, that's weird. And so they had a moment. I guess my thing now, I'm more so just kind of, the scene was all right. I just kind of blacked it out a little bit, because funny enough, you take out that scene, it didn't do anything for the rest of the episode. I'm not going to call it forced. I guess I'd more so call it unnecessary. I don't hate it. I mean, why would I hate it? Marvel doesn't do romance very well anyway. The most they'll do is maybe kiss and hold hands, because Marvel doesn't believe in sex on this show like that. So, I mean, I don't know. I mean, do you have an opinion on it, Damon? I thought it was all right. I just can take it or leave it.
It was all right. Actually, I was just because of the conversation we had the last time, I was waiting for it. And I thought it fitted in perfectly. She actually pruned herself to go there. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was all right to me. I seen it. I seen them coming to it. I was waiting for it. I wasn't mad at it last time. I'm not mad at it now. This time I actually looked at it. I said, well, they do got some chemistry.
They do. The actors have chemistry.
Him turning the little thing into the shawl into a blanket.
Yeah. I mean, they have chemistry. It's just storyline wise, I don't think it's the most interesting choice the creators and writers could have made, to be quite honest. So, it is what it is, but I don't think it was the most interesting. But honestly, it was about 5 or 6 minutes. I kind of just, stared at it and then moved on to the more interesting parts. That's kind of where I feel. And I will say, when you have something like that in a show where it's only 6 episodes, wasting it on something that's kind of an unnecessary thing just feels like, oh, okay, I guess, so it is what it is. So yeah, I got nothing to say about it. I said all I wanted to say about it last stream. I just, at this point, if this is where they're going with it, all right.
So Sylvia and Loki, they ship. What do you call it? Slokia? I don't know.
Incest. I will call it incest. The incestuals, yes. That works. Let that be their ship name, incest. What else happened this episode? Funny enough, there was a lot of major stuff, but it wasn't like many things that happened. We actually saw Thor's hammer down there where they were going down into the basement. That was pretty fun, like a little weird.
It's Thor's hammer, and then I think it was Thor in a bottle, a little Thor in the bottle, like he was jumping, trying to get out the bottle to get to the hammer. You ain't noticed that part.
I didn't see that. That's funny.
He was right under. He was trying to say something. Like you heard, you know how the sound they make when somebody real little trying to talk.
Yeah.
you heard actually heard him trying to say something, jumping up, trying to.
That is funny.
That was funny. That was real funny.
That is funny. Okay, so let's see. So what are your predictions for? I mean, next episode is episode 6, and it's the season finale. And just so for y'all to know, next episode we won't be doing it live next week, but the week after that, on the 22nd, we will be doing the review of episode 6, along with like a review of the whole season. I will be out of town, so I won't be able. I don't want to put y'all through, trying to do a live on hotel Wi-Fi. We won't go through that torture. I'm not doing that torture. That would be torture. But for the season, we'll let y'all marinate on the season finale, and then we'll talk about it on the 22nd. So it won't be an episode on the 15th, but on the 22nd for the season finale and a season wrap up with predictions. But Damon, put it out there right now. Who's the big bad? Place your bets and let us know in the live chat and also in the replay. Place your bets, Damon. Who is the big bad?
I think the bad is going to be Ravonna, and the big bad for later on is going to be Kane. Later on down the line, though.
It's a little safe.
Huh? Yeah.
Yeah. Are you playing it safe because you don't want to have a Mephisto?
You turn the corner, somebody punch you in your face. Next time you turn the corner, what you do?
Put your hands up. Huh. All right. Ray is saying, yes, I want that unfriended dark bet vibe. Get it, Twisted Hearts. You didn't fall for it, Ray. He was supposed to actually put it out there. He's playing it really safe. He learned his lesson from WandaVision, y'all. He's playing it really safe for this one. So I don't know. Michael is saying Mecha Thanos. Mecha Thanos? Who's Mecha?
Mecha Thanos.
I don't think we're saying Thanos for this one. I think Thanos is a reference point at this point.
It's not going to be Thanos.
It's Mephisto.
This is the crazy thing, though. No,
Michael says he's saying Mecha Thanos.
Oh, I said Mecha, yeah.
Yeah.
They wouldn't go that crazy. Like they wouldn't have no, they wouldn't do that.
Oh, like Mecha Godzilla.
Yeah.
No, I don't think so. I don't think Josh Brolin is one of the voices coming in for Thanos for this one.
I don't think put Immortus there either. I don't think they'd do that knowing that it's going to be a Kang. Kang going to be in that quantum thing. I don't think they'll do that either. I don't. If it's not He Who Remains inside that castle thing or the real timekeepers, it would have to be Kang.
So is that your bet? Are you saying it's Kang?
But I've been saying
the Kang pulling all the strings.
Listen what I'm saying. Listen what I'm saying.
I'm listening.
I'm going with. I'm thinking they coming off how the comics is. So I'm thinking Kang is gonna be in comatose or in a slumber or something, and Ravonna's in control of things. And she's hoping he won't wake up.
So you are saying you think Ravonna knows who's behind it?
I think Ravonna is the bad.
Why did she send Miss Minutes away to go look for the files then?
I don't know.
Damon, just place the bet. Do you think it's Kang? Just say it.
Listen, I told you what I think. Come on, carry on.
Oh my gosh, you're funny. Shamara is saying, I want it to be Kang, but something tells me it could be another Loki, maybe. That's that other thing, that there may be another Loki that is kind of sort of running things there. That could be an option.
I want to see who the other agent is. It's a lot of stuff, man. It's a lot of stuff they say, and then it never comes to fruition. Like the engineer, what's his name? Was he the engineer? Who was the?
Oh yeah, everyone thought that was Reed Richards that was going to come meet up on it. But they hadn't even. For those who wanted, when we were doing WandaVision, everyone thought that the engineer that Monica was going to meet during that time was going to be Reed Richards from Fantastic Four. The thing was, Reed Richards, they hadn't even cast Fantastic Four yet. It's just a blip in the mind of Kevin Feige right now. So it was like, how could it be Reed Richards? If it for like that didn't make any sense. But we had a lot of theories because we had a lot, and now I feel like we've all tapered our thoughts and stuff because we're afraid of going out too high up. But maybe that's what they want. Maybe they wanted us to kind of think really big for WandaVision. So by the time we got to Loki, we doubt ourselves so much that it would be such a surprise when it wasn't.
I'll say this. You know what? What? The fact that just because they brought Alioth in, it gotta be somebody powerful. It gotta be.
Mm-hmm. So you think it's Kang?
I'm saying it's Kang.
All right. So you heard it here first, y'all. Damon D-Rock Robinson put his bet there that the big bad, the one controlling everything this season, is Kang. And Kat Harlem, thanks for joining us in the chat. Kat Harlem is saying, I think it's a variant Kang. Do you mean Kang? Probably. I think Kat means Kang. A variant Kang. So you don't think it's actual like origin Kang. You think it's a Kang. I mean, a different Kang from the Kang that we'll probably get in Ant-Man and Wasp, you're saying. Maybe.
There are different Kangs. No, it's actually a group of them. They have a team. I think it's called the Consortium of Kangs or something like that.
Really?
Yeah.
I gotta look that up. The Consortium of Kangs?
Of Kangs, yeah, something like that. It's something like that. Consortium or compilation. It's something about of Kangs. I know that.
See if I find it.
Just a bunch of Kangs from different timelines.
They end up coming together in the comics?
Yeah.
Which era was that?
Try 80s. Try 80s.
Council of Cross.
Council of Cross-Time Kangs. That's it. Yeah.
Wow.
Council of Cross-Time Kangs.
Council of Kangs.
What did I say? Consortium of Kangs? What did I say?
Yeah, I was like, what? Wow, okay. This may be actually a thing. I'm going to show y'all some pictures. Give me a second because I want to. What do y'all think of that theory, y'all? That we might get, maybe there's a council of Kangs. That would be quite interesting. I don't know if that gives way for this one to be a council of Kangs, but it may be a variant Kang, like Kat Harlem has been saying.
But wouldn't they all be variants if they're in this time thing? Like all the councils, wouldn't every council of Kang is a variant?
What do you mean?
Like if they all came to the Earth 616 timeline with that Kang, wouldn't that make all of them Kangs that came in variants, right? It's a bunch of Kangs. That's what I mean. Like how all the Lokis is variants.
Mm-hmm.
It's a bunch of Kangs.
What do y'all think of that theory, y'all?
One of them Kangs could be that Kang. if they use that. That's a big if. You never know.
This is interesting. Michael Damon's actually making a Rick and Morty reference with this one. If there's a citadel of Ricks, there will be a council of Cain. Maybe the citadel of Ricks is a play on the council of Cain.
I'm about to say
that would be a thing. Shamar is saying, I think it's possible. Ray is saying the most Loki ending could be the big bad being a Loki as the mid big bad for the bigger threat, which is Kang, like our Loki for Thanos.
On the first one, Loki was the villain in the first Avengers.
Yeah, and like he's like a precursor. That would be interesting for y'all who are watching. I'm showing a picture of Council of Kings, one of a comic book panel. And it's saying this is kind of a meeting they're having. And they're saying each new diversion, double we isolate is more ignorant than the one before. It's enough to make me wish I'd never built a time machine. And then another Kang is saying, take heart, brother. Most of them are so incompetent that they die in their own failed schemes. And then the third Kang is saying, and in this null time zone, we can terminate the others without creating more bad copies. So it seems like this is them playing God. The Kangs like to play God. So I wouldn't be surprised. Maybe we had a council of Kangs. That would be quite interesting. So Damon, do you think it's the Kang to kind of add to your bet? Do you think it's the Kang we're going to get in Ant-Man and Wasp? Or do you think the Kang that we actually will get is as a variant kind of Kang or one of the council's members of Kang?
I would hope that it's the same Kang from the Ant-Man and Wasp. I mean, I would hope that, and not, but being that they showing, I mean, who knows? They're showing us. They actually showed us in this last episode. It had to have been about 18 Lokis in that little room fighting. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? So it's possible.
Yeah.
That it could be this many, that the Kang could have went around time. How they would explain all of them coming together. You know, that's a big one. I don't, you know, but maybe it's possible. It's possible. I really do think that it's going, that maybe they could try to lead off to how they did Thanos and they just hint to him in this one right here.
I'm going to say I would find it to be a little bit of a letdown if we don't see the big bad, because of the fact, unlike with WandaVision, with the Mephisto thing, there was so much going on within the internal for Wanda and what she was doing that I was okay with there not being a huge big bad for that whole season, because we knew it was going towards Doctor Doom and stuff. I think with Loki, I would be disappointed if there wasn't someone other than Ravonna, only because this whole thing has been about Sylvie finding the person behind the curtain. And if the person behind the curtain is only alluded to after 6 episodes of this traveling and traversing throughout the galaxy for it, I'd be disappointed. I think they got to show up or shut up with this one. I think they got to show us who it is. I'm not going to be satisfied if it's just Ravonna,
even if
she just stands in their way.
Even if it's a cliffhanger?
If it's a cliffhanger, that's even more annoying. They spent 6 episodes and they finally get through Elias. And then it's no, because you know you're going to have to wait a whole year. A whole year for a cliffhanger? No. I'm telling y'all.
Quantumania comes out.
I'm putting my own bet on there that I tell y'all now, if that is what happens, I will lower the grade for this season. Because right now it's a solid B. If that's what happens, I will go down to a C.
Wow.
Like I will go down to a C. For those of you who are watching on the screen, I am showing a panel of the
Council of Kang.
Of the Council of Kang. I mean, it's a whole bunch of Kang. It's like hundreds of Kangs, y'all. Kind of like in the comic books, how there were hundreds of Mobiuses. But now there's hundreds of Kang. So I think around that time, Marvel really enjoyed doing the multiple people clone thing. Ray is saying, I think a variant for the phase 4 big bad wouldn't be very good, basically. Ray is also saying Council of Wells. Council of Wells, for those of you who don't watch The Flash, is a Flash reference, a TV show Flash reference with the Wells character. And Ray is saying, Council of Wells, leave it to the Arrowverse. This MCU, kick it into high. This is MCU, kick it into high gear. Yeah. But then again, one would argue that DC might have borrowed it from Marvel in that regard, right? The council of these kind of characters, right? Kat Harlem is also saying, I'm sad to say, ... I'm not a fan of this Loki series. It's my least favorite of Disney TV shows. I want the series to just end. I think this is what we were talking about last stream, Kat. When we were doing the ranking. And I think so far, most people, it would seem, kind of are ranking WandaVision as the top one, with Falcon and Winter Soldier as either a distant second or a second. And I don't know. I feel like a lot of people are struggling with the Loki series. What do you think, Damon? What's your ranking so far?
I'm at a B with the series so far.
But in comparison to the other series.
Oh no, this is see on WandaVision is of course number one. But I like the Captain America Winter Soldier. I liked it. I like it was good. It was more action. It won't you know.
So would you say that Loki is third for you still?
Yeah, I mean, yeah, I gotta see the ending. I don't think it's gonna move it up, but at least I'll be able to say if it had a great ending, it could sum it up. A good ending could move this up to an A for me.
Okay. Would it move it up past WandaVision and Falcon and Winter Soldier for you at all?
If it gives me a better ending than they did, honestly, or just off the merit that it gave me a good ending. If it gives me Kang. Of course. If it gives me Kang,
because you didn't get Mephisto in WandaVision.
This is the best one it got. Not just because of that. Look, not just because of that, even though that would have been great.
Yeah.
Is that it'll lead us to a damn movie. I mean,
the other one,
WandaVision
kind of leads us to Doctor Doom.
It's going to lead us into that too. But I think this got the potential to lead us into other movies also on the slate.
Yeah, well,
it even could connect to the multiverse just because they're dealing with time.
Yeah, I mean, there is a connection there. It does open up knowing more about the Marvel universe.
Honestly, what? Of course, all this.
I mean, that's the one thing that we know that, right? Yeah, everything intertwines. Yeah, the question is, does it intertwine directly, or is it just kind of like, here's something you can know about what else goes on in the Marvel Cinematic Universe?
I think it's going to intertwine all the lead up to whatever in the phase 4, whatever in the phase 4 going to look like, the big thing going to be.
Yeah.
I think it's everything is leading to that.
Well, my thought process is WandaVision is definitely my favorite one thus far. I just think it had everything going for it. It was such a well thought out story. Falcon and Winter Soldier were so for me because I'm not really into the Marvel's direct action type of stuff. I'm more into the mystical and the fantastical stuff that Marvel does. So Loki actually had a good chance of being my second fave. And it might still be my second fave just simply for the fact of the content of the magic and things like that, because I am partial to that. I mean, as you know from this channel, y'all, this is horror, supernatural, and a sci-fi channel. So I am partial to that for Loki. But with that said, it has been a mixed bag for me. While I feel like Falcon and Winter Soldier had strong episodes throughout, even though it was more on the drama side, it had stronger storyline throughout. And I feel like Loki, with some of the decision for them to hook him and Sylvie up and some other things, I just felt like it weakened the storytelling.
It is. I feel like I felt that for the thing they did with the Alof character. I felt they weakened him. So I was like,
yeah.
Wow.
So I am just I like the show, but I don't love it. And I think this episode helped me to like it more again, because the last episode I really wasn't feeling, and I was just kind of like, okay. And now I'm kind of like, okay, I'm back to being invested. I'm back to wondering who it is. But it definitely is not it's not something I could tell people, oh my gosh, you have to watch Loki. You have to watch. I told that to people for WandaVision. I can't necessarily say the same for Loki. But I will also say that right now for me, this season is definitely a B. But I will say there's really nothing for me right now that could happen to make it an A. To be honest, I mean, this final episode would have to blow my side. Like, it would have to be so above. Like, the Avengers would have to show up. Valkyrie would have to be flying through the sky for me to be like, whoa, okay, this is an A+ show. So right now, the only where it can go is down for me. So if they finish off strong this episode with episode 6, I can be okay with it to give it a solid B, maybe a B+. But if they don't show a big bad after all of this jumping from time to time and all this stuff, or at least the dismantling of the TVA, something, you got to give me something huge happening and not just a cliffhanger. I'm going to have to say that it would go down to like a B- C+ for me kind of show. This hasn't been a very strong show. It's been a little bit mixed bag.
You're saying if Ravonna ends up being the bad, and even if they allude to a bigger bad, it'll still drop down for you?
Because it's the setup of it. If it was just like stuff going on and then, oh yeah, there may be someone, sure. But they made such a big deal about Sylvie finding out who was behind it. Like, the last 3 episodes have been, she needs to find it. We got to know who's running things. That's what's going on behind. And if all of that happens and we end on a cliffhanger of who's behind it, I'm going to call foul. I'm going to be like, you don't do this. You don't build up so much. The last 3 episodes with a 6-episode season, and you don't give me a reveal. You got to give me a reveal, even if it's a glimpse, even if it's an after scene. I'll even take post credits. But if it's not post credits or something, if there's nothing, I'm gonna call foul. I'm gonna say this is a C+ show.
I think they got to give it to us.
Yeah.
I think
so. You think we're gonna see the big bad?
They got to, or this show ain't gonna make it. The second season.
No, it'll make it. It's a Marvel Disney show. Of course it'll make it. Enough people will watch it and claim that they love it because, Disney minions, I don't know. This is just how they are. It's one of those things where sometimes Disney can do no wrong, like with the Cruella movie. And no one's gonna admit that maybe it wasn't that great. And that's the same thing we're gonna get with the narrative of Loki, especially with professional critics who want to keep their Disney access. So no shade, I understand, but this hasn't been like a knockout of the ballpark. It really hasn't. Amber Richardson, thanks for joining us in the chat. Amber is saying that is true. I haven't been super passionate with Loki like I was with WandaVision. Amber is also saying Marvel needs to take more risks. I agree. I just thought that certain things were kind of lazy, with it. I think they thought they were being daring by putting Sylvie and Loki together. I think they thought they were being edgy with that. Yeah, and I think I
think that's what they do. They think.
I think they thought that was edgy when in reality it just seemed uninspired.
When they changed the storyline up, they I guess that's their way of doing work. We did some work. We changed it from how it was in the comics. We made it newer. And sometimes the old stuff was perfect.
But WandaVision, I thought, took some risk. And it's weird to go from that to this, where it's like it's safe with the facade of being different, Shamara is saying, I'm praying the finale does this show justice because it has a lot of potential to be an A for me. I'd give it a B as of now. Yeah. I agree. Now, like I said, Shamara, if they give us something so awesome, and maybe it will go up to a B+ A for me. But right now, it's a solid B. In terms of the overall episodes, it's a solid B show for me. Kat Harlem is saying, I never liked the Loki character, but I watched the TV, so I was abreast of what was going on. This series hasn't made me like Loki more. And that's the thing too. I like Loki. I do. I like him when they use him right. And I think there were moments when they did use him right. And then there's other moments in this season where he's kind of taken a back seat almost to other people's development, which is you know, which is weird because it's called Loki. And maybe it's not our Loki that's really the focal point. Maybe it's all these other Lokis and Sylvie, but I didn't sign up for that, you know? Michael Damian is saying, my only problem with Loki is how small half of the show felt. For a show dealing with high concepts of multiple apocalypses, Wanda is still number one for me. However, this episode revived my faith. Okay. Yeah, this episode felt way more epic than the other episodes, which seemed to be taking place in some of the most basic spots. So, especially for a show about intergalactic conflict, right?
I mean, yeah. I mean, they brought in a powerful entity. They just didn't give him his due justice. So they gotta whoever's in that castle, whatever it is back there,
they better blow our socks off.
Yeah, exactly. I
don't want it to turn. I mean, honestly, for y'all, I didn't even place my bet. I still think it's she. I think it's He Who Remains. That's who I think it is. And if it is, I'll still keep with the B. I'll stay with the B for the show. If it's He Who Remains, I will keep it as a B. But he's got to explain. He got some explaining to do. But that's about it. If it's Kang, I might be like, okay, B plus, because that actually them showing a real big bad, which they did not do in WandaVision, would be cool. But I guess we'll see. But yeah, y'all, if you haven't already, please do give this give this video a like if you haven't already. It's always appreciated. Give this video a like. Feed our algorithm monster. He's not a Goliath, but the algorithm monster, they are just as beastly. And they help decide people watching and, you know, checking out the video. And if you'd like to, you know, show some super chat love, that's always great. If you want us to really dig deep into a Marvel question or any other question or some other question you have about a movie or show, and you want us to dig really deep into it, you know, it's always encouraged with a super chat to do that. Although we do enjoy chatting with you all on the regular too. But yeah, just so y'all know, we won't be doing Loki episode 6 next week. We'll be doing it the week after, in combination with a overall kind of a season roundup, because I won't put y'all through a live in a hotel room where the Wi-Fi might be spotty. Any final thoughts, Damon? So you made your bet. Everyone mark it down. Damon made his bet that it's Kang and that Kang will appear.
I don't think Kang will appear.
I know you was going to say that. Okay, David made his bet that it's Kang. Okay, he made his bet that it's Kang. I'm gonna stick with that. It's He Who Remains.
My bet is it's Ravonna working for Kang. Ravonna alluding to Kang.
Okay, so but that it's Kang.
Kang will be alluded to.
Okay, so your bet is that Kang will
his
be
name is mentioned. He's the best.
Yes.
He's the
so your bet is that it is Kang. My bet is that it's He Who Remains is who it is. Is my bet. That maybe next season it'll lead to Kang after he appears in Ant-Man and Wasp. Who knows? All right, y'all. So that is our breakdown of the season. Let us know in the comment section your thoughts, who you're placing your bet on, and what are your overall thoughts of this season so far. That would still be something I'm wondering from y'all, so that we can gear up when we do it. Before we go, Ray is saying the best part of this series was the power expansion. Loki is now more aware, though, through Old and Loki and Sylvie of what his magical capacity is. And that's great for phase 4, which is magic and space heavy. I agree with you there. I definitely think this was good. And that's what we got in WandaVision too, right? We got an expansion of Wanda's powers. We got Wanda to really get to know who she was. We got Falcon, who is now Captain America, to really get to know who he is. And it seems like they're doing the same theme with Loki, with him getting to really know who he is through all the other Lokis, Sylvie included. So there's definitely a through line that they're doing with these shows.
I'm thinking they connected. I don't know in what way the Falcon and the new Captain America and Winter Soldier is connected, but I could see WandaVision being connected somehow to Loki through the Doctor Strange thing.
Maybe. Michael Damian saying we might see Kang's hand in the finale and credits, like Dr. Claw and Inspector Gadget.
Hey, this at the end of this one, you didn't wait to see the face I was talking about?
No, I didn't see it
They
again.
show it every.
You gotta show me a screenshot. For those of you who don't know, Damon is saying that in the credits they show a face that looks like Kang throughout, and I have not seen it. I gotta look for a screenshot.
Right at the end.
And Amber is saying Kang has to appear. He is already casted. If it is not, I'm gonna pop off on Marvel. You and me both, Amber. You and me both. I agree. Amber is also agreeing with Michael Damian, saying they might pull an Avengers and have part of Thanos' face showing at the end of the credits. Maybe that's what they do with Kang. Who knows? I guess we will see. So place your bets, y'all. And as always, it is such a pleasure to talk storyline and stories with you all. And thank you for joining us once again. And until next time, have a very safe rest of your week and be safe out there. Excelsior!
Excelsior.